Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Me encuentro en Miami Beach a punto de ingresar a un evento alto perfil de inversionistas liderado por KPI Capital Partners, donde vamos a estar en un panel con el fundador hablando acerca de temas como inversiones, economía, las proyecciones que tenemos para el próximo año y respondiendo preguntas a todos esos emprendedores, empresarios, inversionistas que las tienen. Así que espero que disfruten mucho de este contenido educativo.
How do you feel about being a trailblazer and also leading the new generational wealth of Latinos? And this question is for the three of you. Anyone could answer the questions. How do you feel the responsibility of being a trailblazer within the Latino community?
Okay, I'll take that one. I'll start, and then you guys can go from there. But I never set off to be a trailblazer or anything like that. To be honest, my original intention was just to create an impact, and Latino or not, just to be able to impact society at large and really do big things that will resonate across the board. And whenever you live a purposeful life and you have a purpose, the rest will follow.
Wow, man. Gaby.
So I learned that sometimes what you think is your weakness ends up being your biggest strength. And I say that as a Latino woman in finance. I'm like the 0.1%, right? When I'm at the New York Stock Exchange in Wall Street, I'm literally like 0.001%. But I find that what you would normally think as, oh, that's my weakness, that's, all the statistics are against me, you can turn that into your strength. You can make that, no, I'm original, and have a different perspective and point of view. And I think that's what I've used to lead a community of mostly women who want to learn to invest and disrupt systems and break stereotypes.
Wow. Gracias. Tony.
So we created Latino Wall Street right after Hurricane Maria struck the island of Puerto Rico. And at that time, we went down to the island with Hugo Sanchez. Where's Hugo? Hugo, we love you, Hugo. And we went down there to do humanitarian work. And we weren't some big nonprofit, right? We weren't some big government-backed NGO. We were just a bunch of crazy entrepreneurs who went knocking on people's doors, giving them access to clean water and solar panel lights when people didn't have light and access to water. And then I realized that the difference between the people that had access to resources and the people that didn't was access to information, right? I was in Puerto Rico, I was still working off of my laptop and I was still able to make money. And everyone in Puerto Rico had access to the same internet connection as I did, but they didn't have access to the same information. They were online, but they didn't know the power that they had. So we started hosting seminars and workshops, and then that turned into Latino Wall Street and us going all around the world and all around Latin America hosting this education. And I'll never forget the first time that I went to the New York Stock Exchange. I was invited by a company named Twilio. They had just went public, and they called it the Cathedral of Capitalism. And here I am, this kid that was, grew up from a broken home and a single mother that was on Section 8, and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in this big building with all this wealth, and how many, Latino kids from the inner city are able to be here. And I just knew that I didn't want to be the only one. I didn't want to climb up the ladder and then kick the ladder down. I wanted to throw a rope down and bring more people up with me. And so that's the biggest thing that I can leave people with is like, when you climb up the ladder, don't forget to throw a rope down for everybody else.
Wow, un aplauso, por favor. And in that case, also, George, you were also interviewed for the first time in the New York Stock Exchange. You had an emotional moment there because he cried before and after the interview. Tell us the experience.
Thanks for sharing that, Carlos.
Yes.
But no, in all seriousness, I owe you guys a huge debt of gratitude because you actually helped me accomplish a lifelong dream that's opened the door to a lot of many other things, which was to actually be interviewed on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And not only that, but just to see my company name that I founded 10 years ago and have grown through, blood, sweat, and tears, and my name in lights up on the New York Stock Exchange. That was a life-changing moment for me, and I want to thank you guys for that. For those of you who don't know, so my background was in finance, and when I graduated college with my degree in finance, I was supposed to be a stockbroker. I was going to go get my Series 7. I was supposed to go to Wall Street. And life just took me in a different direction. I went more into the banking side, lending side. And, you know, I've always had that thought in the back of my mind, like, what if, what if? And, you know, 24 years later, I got to actually step onto the floor of New York Stock Exchange, not representing JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, or someone else, right? Just another number to a big name, but under my banner, KPI Capital Partners. And that was a huge moment for me, and I have you guys to thank for that, so thank you.
So, Gaby, what does it mean for investors to learn with Wall Street tools in Spanish, en español, en nuestra tierra, nuestra sangre?
Well, I think it's crucial because we are a voice for an underrepresented community. So one of the first things I noticed that since I went to NYU and then, you know, lived in Wall Street was that there was no presence of really, you know, women or Spanish speakers. So one of my missions was I want to make sure that I can make a difference, you know, because sometimes we look at things and we would like them to change or to be something different, but we don't do anything. All we do is observe and have an opinion. But what does it take, right, to just be a stand for what you believe in and make the difference? Who else is gonna do it? So I decided I'm not gonna wait for anyone to come around.
Yes.
I'm gonna stand up and make it happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Un aplauso, George. So, what does it mean for you to start with 1,000 and then to multiply that into millions of dollars? Because you started with $1,000 also. The dreams come true also for you.
Yeah, so a lot of the people that are here that have heard my story before, I see a lot of new faces as well, so I'm glad to see you if you haven't heard my story. So yeah, I started this company in 2015 with $1,000, and through different alternative investment strategies, we've been able to grow it into a 9-figure portfolio, which is continuing to grow at an exponential rate. And it just boils down to what Tony was saying before, access to information and just having just being motivated to go out and learn more. Because when I started this company, I already been a lender for many years. I already had my Juris Doctorate. I was an attorney. I was negotiating. I negotiated thousands of real estate transactions, and I could have very easily said, I know everything there is to know about real estate. And I didn't do that. What I started to do was I started learning from other people that were doing things differently with alternative strategies and different creative investment strategies. And because I was humble enough to want to learn from these people, I was able to then begin to apply these different strategies and multiply, and then learning one strategy behind another and strategy stacking, as I like to say, I was able to get the compounding effect. We always talk about compounding interest, but there's a lot to be said for compounding effort and compounding grit.
Yeah, no, and compounding knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So there's this thing that they say, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And the problem is a lot of times it's not about what you know, it's about being able to let go of what you thought you knew and try something different, right? So many times, whether it's lawyers, accountants, investors, they have a certain strategy that they've just been doing for forever, and they're getting a certain result, but they want to get a bigger result. And it's like, to get a new result, you need a new strategy.
It's funny because some of my top investors are my friends from law school. You know, they're making $500, $600, $800, $900 an hour, but guess what? They're tired of trading their time for money, and they come to me and say, George, how can I invest with you? How can we put our money to work for us instead of us working for our money?
Which leads to my next question. What separates dreamers from doers? Any of the three of you can answer that question.
Massive action.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive. And money loves energy. Money loves speed. I love that one. Continue.
Yes, I think that, you have to also be fast, because it's not just about taking action. You can take action 10 years from now. It's about being really fast with your actions, and in business and investing and in life. The people who get the biggest rewards are the ones who act the quickest. So you need to be quick but responsible. Make sure you have all the information necessary, And I think that's what makes all the difference.
So the question, yes.
I think taking massive action and then also having faith and taking risks, right? Like when I tell people that, hey, if you move your company to Puerto Rico, you could be paying between 0 to 2 to 4% in taxes. A lot of accountants will tell you, wait, no, you're crazy. There's no way. It's impossible, right? Because maybe they've never heard of the strategy. Or we brought Scott to our annual conference this year, who builds trusts. And he has another strategy where you're paying close to 0% on your income because he's using trust to offset that. So I think, again, being open-minded, being able to take action and take risks and try things that are maybe a little bit more unconventional.
So George, the economy is, as you can see, what worked yesterday doesn't work today, may not work tomorrow. So what cross-border investment trends excites you the most right now?
So I'm in the alternative investment world, right, which is a little different for what Gaby and Tony do when it comes to my private equity side. On the real estate side of it, we try to focus on what we consider to be recession-proof type of investments. So we're either going on the ultra-luxury side because we know that the wealth gap is getting bigger and bigger, and the 1% just keeps getting richer and richer. So we develop targeting those individuals. But from a more impactful point of view, right now we're making a big push towards multifamily for affordable housing, workforce housing, where we're creating communities within the cities that we're working in. And again, as I was saying before, if you have purpose and you're looking to be impactful, then the rest will follow: money, everything else. On the other side of it, we're making a huge push into the energy sector as well. Because what a lot of people don't know is that with the advent of AI, quantum computing, cloud storage, blockchain, everything that we see right now, energy consumption is due to increase by 500% in the next 5 years, so by 2030. So if you put that into perspective, and you think to yourself, so from when Edison invented the light bulb till today, call that 100%. Now imagine that exponentially growing 500% in the next 5 years. And there's a huge lag in infrastructure in the energy side. And so we've identified a big opportunity on our private equity division for these type of energy projects and data center projects. So, and again, it's for impact because at the end of the day, it's going to affect every single one of us because it has the potential to turn the United States and any other country into a third world country when you start to have rolling brownouts and rolling blackouts. So that's one of the huge projects that we're focused on as well.
I'm going to jump into the public in a few questions, but what excites you to have members in Latino Wall Street, como los Titanes? What excites you the most, and what are they expecting for these members? For Titanes Club. What is the, how can the club accelerate the members' results?
Well, I mean, Telemundo just covered the event that we co-hosted together in New York, and they called it the group of the top 100 investors in the country. So I'll take that.
Wow.
But yeah, Gaby, I mean, what inspired you to start Titans, and what was the inspiration around it?
Yeah, I think proximity is power. When people ask me, how did you become a multimillionaire in your 20s? Like, how did that happen so fast? I always tell them, I made sure I was always in the right rooms, that I learned from people who have results. Because coming from a very expensive school, my professors used to teach me theory, and I used to sit there and, I spent hundreds of thousands to go to NYU, but they didn't have the results, and they were teaching me, and I would look around, and everyone was spending so much money to learn from someone who didn't have the results. But then I'll walk 2 blocks to Wall Street, and I'll meet people just a few years older than me in their 20s, making so much money. And a light bulb went off. There is a better way. You don't have to be like my professor at 65 who can make ends meet. You can be young and wealthy and abundant. So I think proximity is power. That's why I created the Titans Club. And I think just sharing with them the different opportunities and the different exposure and access I've gotten to experience I know makes all the difference in one's success.
And this leads to the question to any of you guys. So if you have to describe the next decade of Latino influence in one sentence, how will our community transform finance, entrepreneurship, and legacy building across borders? Could be to any of you guys.
I think teamwork, right? Like doing what we're doing right now, which is getting leaders in the room together to do business together and commerce. The name Latino Wall Street, when we came up with it, was actually taking inspiration from Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street was a coalition and a town in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 100 years ago of African Americans who came together and built businesses. They had their own banks. They had their own infrastructure. And, you know, it has a sad end to the story because the KKK actually burnt that town down. But the message was clear. It was African Americans who came together and built this city. And that's what we want to create for the Latino community is a place where business leaders and thought leaders can work together and build coalitions.
George, in your case, un aplauso.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned something about, you know, a business without borders. And, you know, I am extremely proud of the fact that we built a company now where we're a global company. We have offices obviously here in Miami where we're based, but also in Dubai. And we now have investors across over 9 different countries in 5 different continents, including Dubai, Israel, other places in the Middle East, South America, Europe, and United States and Canada. And so that's something that we're very proud of.
I'm going to jump into questions from the audience. Any questions for the experts? Okay, I have a question here.
Wow, I have a question for Gabriela. Question for you. So I know that you mentioned.
What's your name?
Kayla. Kayla, I love that you were talking about like empowering women and giving them the opportunity to see what's possible for them. What I also see with a lot of women is that they're in different situations where they feel unworthy or they like get successful and then they sabotage it all. What advice, I guess, would you give to your younger self or to women that you see that sabotage it to like help them really step into wealth, but more importantly, maintain it?
Got it. So someone who gets
Yes, good question. Please, quiet on the back. We're about to finish. Just give me 5 more minutes and we're done. Please, on the back. Please, yes, you. Yes. Please, quiet on the back. 5 more minutes and we're done, please. Because we're going to listen to all of you
we're
guys.
all here to do business.
Yes.
If you
Thank
want to
you,
have
guys.
the conversation, you're welcome to step outside,
Yes.
please.
Thank you.
We just asked for 5 more minutes to
And we're about to finish,
the
yes.
presentation.
Okay, so the question was, how do you women feel sometimes they feel intimidated and sometimes they feel like they're not worth it receiving the abundance that there is out there?
No, the question was when they sabotage themselves.
They sabotage their own success,
right?
yes.
When they, get to their own success. I think you have to do a lot of personal work, inner work. It's part of a business strategy. A lot of people don't realize that, but we have a lot of blind spots and we don't even think about them. So if you don't work on yourself, on your mindset, on your traumas, on whatever you're carrying, then you're never going to have a clear space to really create. And a lot of that shows up in business, you know, especially because when you have a business, you're managing teams, you're dealing with a lot of people. All the breakdowns, all your pain points are mostly going to be around people. So if you don't do that inner work, then you're always going to be constantly sabotaging yourself and you're not going to know where it's coming from because a blind spot is something you didn't work on. But for me, what worked personally was personal development, just going to a lot of seminars, reading books. That's how I met my husband in a personal development seminar, and just really working on myself so that I'm aware of whatever stuff. Everyone has their things, everyone has a past. And once you're aware, then you can make the right decisions and stop the sabotaging that a lot of it is unconscious, unfortunately.
I mean, take this advantage from millionaires that are sitting there that have the experience and the background to back it up. So if this is like a free consulting, I have a question here also from the audience.
Thank you. For all 3 of you, you started in business. You seem like you're very successful now. When you switch to that point in time in your life when you don't work in your business, but on your business, so when you switch to that point in time in your life when you have your business, you're no longer working in it, you're trying to transition to like working on it. any advice? That's like the biggest thing for a lot of business owners.
Yeah, I mean, surround yourself and try to build a team with really good people. Talent sometimes is expensive, both in the money that you pay people, the compensation, right? We've given out, if you come to our annual conference, you see giant checks that we've given to people on our team. So I think paying people really well, and then also investing the time. You know, Gabby spends countless hours, me and Gabby spend countless hours with our team, training them, staying on top of them, nurturing them, sending them even to seminars. If they want to do personal development for themselves, that's something that we've had a policy in our organization. So that's my 2 cents. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that for me, I definitely remember a period where I was making that transition where it's like, okay, whether it's investing into marketing, investing into personnel, new people, and also that fear of, well, delegating, can someone really do it as good as I can, right? Or at least as good as I think I can. So going back to your point, from both a financial standpoint, you know, where it's like, okay, maybe I can't afford it. I can't afford marketing, or I can't afford to hire new people. And what you don't realize is that when you surround yourself and you know, make a little bit of a sacrifice and you're investing back into the business, it actually pays you back exponentially. And that's where we've been able to see exponential growth in our business, is when I really started to bring on and grow our team. And now, you know, our team, they're all here. And the truth is, it's because of them that we've been able to expand and grow the way that we have. So.
Okay, we have a final question.
And they actually do it better than I can.
We have a final question, and then we have a special announcement also. What's your question? You can stand up.
Awesome. Just want to thank all 3 of you guys for taking the time to answer our questions and to share your expertise and experience. My question is, what do you guys think is the biggest challenge for this upcoming year to continue to expand at the level that you guys have been expanding at? Is it interest rates? Is it the ability to find capital? Is it insurance? Is it subsidies? Because I know you had mentioned energy is growing, right? So I know previously a lot of subsidy programs that were built and created to continue to develop EV charging stations. Is that something that you guys foresee continue to happen in 2026, or is there certain delays, or just kind of waiting around?
Great question.
So the answer, just so everyone's prepared, prices will go up. Prices are going up, and everyone is going to feel it. And I'll give you an example. Just yesterday, we had earnings of one of the biggest companies in the world, Meta and Microsoft. Why did the stocks crash after the earnings? Not because they didn't make any money. They're making hundreds of billions of dollars. They crashed because in the report, it said that their expectations for the next year is for their expenses to go up by a huge percentage, which cuts into their revenue, right? Like George was saying, everyone's so focused on AI, but nobody talks about the energy and the data centers and all the expenses that come along with that. So we have to be smart. We can't just think about, oh, technology, artificial intelligence. It's no, how much is it gonna cost to keep that up and to expand into that? So the biggest challenge at a personal level, at a business level, is going to be expenses. Expenses are going to go up. I've been planning, believe it or not, well, you wouldn't know, but my annual conference that's in a year, and I was getting, you know, all these bills, and I was like, oh my, it's like triple the cost of what we've been paying these venues, in the hundreds of thousands, right, for one event. So think about it at every level, right? You can be literally Microsoft, and then your problem's not gonna be, oh, something's hundreds of thousands, it's gonna be something's hundreds of billions.
It's all relative, right?
Literally. So everyone has a different level, but the point is, whatever your level is, you are going to feel it. The monetary policy and what the Federal Reserve is doing is inflationary. People just have to get that. You know, cutting interest rates, oh, everyone loves it. Everyone wants to cut interest rates. But the other side of the coin, right, it's that it's inflationary. There's more demand, prices will go up, and the dollar will be worth less. And unfortunately, there's no bono for the dollar. That's why we need to invest in commodities, that it's a way to protect our purchasing power, such as gold, and that's where investments come in to protect your purchasing power.
Yeah, such as gold, real estate, right? I think people are not prepared for what's going to happen over the next decade. We're witnessing the global restructuring of power, and the US dollar is getting weaker and weaker. We just had gold hit record highs, like it almost doubled in the last few years. That's unheard of. Gold is supposed to be a stable, very anti-inflationary, very safe and boring asset to invest in, and we just saw gold hitting record time highs. That's not good for gold. That's bad for the dollar. You're witnessing the dollar weakening, and you now have China, who is working with the BRICS nations. Who are the BRICS nations? You got Brazil,
Russia.
You have
Russia,
India, South Africa. I'm missing one. Who am I missing?
North Korea.
China.
Yeah. And China, yeah, the big ones. And so China is now creating a gold reserve in all the BRICS nations, and they're going to have their yuan backed by gold. They're going head to head, and they're going to back their currency by gold, which the US stopped doing about 100 years ago. So we're looking at some really crazy times where the US dollar, the US economy, may not be number one anymore in 5 to 10 years' time. And it's really dangerous. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, so it's exactly what I was going to say. What we're seeing in the market now is a lot of liquidity issues. I mean, they just printed how many trillions again, right? Which goes towards the whole inflation conversation. I mean, I predicted back.
They gave $40 billion to Argentina.
And we gave $40 billion to Argentina.
We did a currency swap. We gave Argentina $40 billion US dollars, and we took $40 billion worth of worthless Argentinian dollars. And I love the Argentinian president. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah. And the conversation can continue.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
we can
real quick, just to finish.
Final thoughts.
Just to finish it. So based on everything that we're saying right now, it is a double-sided coin, right? So when you have the right information and you position yourself properly, and we're talking about inflation, it's not that we want to scare everybody and it's the end of the world and it's a doomsday, but no, guess what? Someone is going to be profiting from it. So if prices are going up and you're investing in real estate and affordable housing and rents are going up and now our NOI goes up, our values go up, and you're on the right side of that, you're making money. Trump.
Yeah, chaos creates opportunity.
Exactly. Trump, declared an energy national emergency, and so now we created Keystone Energy to have an energy fund to start basically not only providing a solution, but being able to provide an opportunity, right? So everybody that's investing with us in our energy fund is going to be on the right side of that coin, right? So it's not. There's always two sides of it. It's like when Warren Buffett said, "When there's blood on the streets, you buy," right? That's when you make money. And so it's important you understand which side you want to be on. So
okay, final thoughts. Final thoughts. Tony, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I thought that was the final thought. when there's blood in the street, buy.
Buy.
Gaby, final thoughts.
No, I think just to make the conclusion, no improvising, right? We have to plan and prepare if we want to be successful, especially for next year. Things are going to get very interesting, for lack of a better word, because of the different relationships that we have internationally. The different sanctions that we're seeing are going to hurt the dollar. So that affects, when you hear, sanctions on Russia, you have to think that hurts my purchasing power because of the dollar. So we have to really plan and prepare and make sure you don't have all your eggs in one basket. And unfortunately, most people have all their money in US dollars. So your mindset has to be to diversify and make sure you have different streams of income and you don't just depend on the US dollar is stable, because what's coming in the next year because of the monetary policy, it doesn't look very good for the dollar.
Yeah, the most dangerous thing you can do right now is just have all your savings and everything sitting in cash.
George, final thoughts.
Yeah, because the valuing. So, don't be guided by fear is what I would say. And understand and educate yourself so that you can position yourself to be on the right side of the coin when the time comes.
Si te gustó este episodio, no olvides en compartirlo, en suscribirte y seguirme en todas mis redes sociales para mantenerte al tanto y aprender sobre la bolsa de valores, inversiones, finanzas y muchos más secretos del éxito. Nos vemos en un siguiente episodio.